The Share Pickers Weekend Podcast with Justin, Paddy, Peter and Steve. The content of this podcast is not intended as investment advice. It is for information purposes only. People in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy anything based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Welcome to the Weekend Podcast. I'm joined by Paddy. That's it. All right, Pad.
Oh, hi.
Yeah. When I say your name and say you're right, Pad, you should say hello there, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you know what, Pete? I'm starting to worry about Pete. He normally responds on a WhatsApp message, but he hasn't responded at all. Hardly at all. I was going to make a joke and stuff, but I thought maybe something serious has happened. You know, but normally he does respond, doesn't he? You know?
He's abroad, I think.
But we talked about this, though. I know, France have got problems because they're in the EU and stuff, and they're lacking petrol and diesel, and there's big queues. We've seen that. Trouble is, when you're in your own country, you only see the chaos in your own country. There's chaos there. There's riots in Paris. There's riots everywhere. And Italy. And they can't get any petrol or diesel. But I'm going to start taking up an offer I was, put on the table by a member of the Share Pickers Investment Club. There's a load of people there, right, who are enthusiastic about stocks and shares. They said, and we didn't do a weekend podcast a couple of weeks back, and this guy said, well, get some of the members on. I said, yeah, do you know what?
Yes.
Good idea.
There's an idea.
Yes, rather than have, just chasing up Pete and Steve, or probably nursing hangovers together in a bed somewhere in France.
These clueless idiots.
I know.
Get some people on who actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Well, did you see that on Sky News today? They got a picture of Boris Johnson flying home from the Dominican Republic with Carrie Johnson. Someone's just taking a quick snap at them, which is quite annoying, isn't it? But, he's in economy. Now, I've been to the Dominican Republic. It's a long flight. It's like 10 hours. And so economy with his kids. I don't know how many kids he's got on there. He's probably taken them for half the plane. But is that a PR stunt? Because he's got security with him. Why would you go in economy?
He's broke, isn't he?
What do you mean? He's getting 84 grand, isn't he? Someone said he's getting 84 grand to be a politician, because, that you should get paid that. Plus he's doing 150 grand for 10-minute speeches in the US. And then he's gone to the Caribbean. How can he be skint?
He's got like 13 nannies or something stupid, isn't he?
Yeah, I imagine he's not very good with the finances.
And he's got 30 kids by different parents, so I'd imagine there's some outgoings.
Yeah, there would be a bit of outgoing, yeah. But do you know what? I think it's absolutely nuts. But by the way, on a business level, right, Moody's, the rating agency, just come out this morning, and they've lowered UK's outlook from stable, which I don't know if it ever was stable, to negative, right? Basically, they rated country's strength. It affects how much the costs the government borrows, all that stuff in financial markets. In theory, higher credit rating means lower interest rates. Now, they've just reduced ours. They said there are two drivers behind this decision, right? First was the first one, the main one, the increased risk of the UK's credit profile from heightened unpredictability in policy making amid a volatile domestic political landscape. Now that's it, isn't it? That is it. We are, at the moment, it's so unstable. The government, it's people are laughing at the UK around the world, and we're grabbing the attention of everyone for the wrong reasons. And I did tweet out last night, and whether you're a Tory voter or not, but if you are a member of the Tories, I did say, you must be insane for backing Boris or Penny Mordaunt. Absolutely insane.
It's turned into a bit of a it's a bit of a game show now, isn't it?
It is.
I'd imagine if you're one of those 80,000 people that gets to decide our next prime minister, you're probably not a rational person because you're in the Tory party, but you're now whipped up into this fervour of you made a terrible decision last time, and now in your head it might appear that the guy who the best is the one that's going to save this, but you sort of need to remember why he was kicked out in the first place.
That's it. Everyone's thinking about this Boris is coming back, this fancy sort of second time round. It's a lovely story. He's coming back for a second term. He's going to get it again. But remember, he was kicked out. Liz Truss was put in, and she lasted the shortest, serving prime minister ever. That's his doing, pretty much, So he's created this instability. Now, what the Tories need, if you're a Tory party member and you've got your head half screwed on, thinking what we need now is more stability. Anything that makes our party less stable is not a good thing. So if you think we need to go, it's like investing in stocks and shares.
I don't think it's possible, though, is it? Like, whichever way they go, if they put Boris back in, then half the Tory parliamentary party hate him and won't do what he says now, because why would they? Mm-hmm. If they put Sunak in, the same's true the other way around. Mordaunt is, I mean, she's Liz Truss Mark II with some anti-abortion rubbish thrown in as well. Like, she's an idiot.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying, Pat. So
the idea that she's stable, of the three options, none of them bring stability.
No, but hang on. But that's all they have. So if you're looking at that, right, these are our three options. Mordaunt, Johnson, Sunak, right? Now, if you look, what's the least risky option? What's the option that's not going to put us back in a trust scenario? What's the option that's not going to be mired in controversy? Now, if you put Johnson, he's a very good talker. He's a very good seller. He's a very good seller of hope, and he's got a character. People like that, and all the characters bouncing back. Now, people are looking at the story, not the facts, all right? If he comes back, like largely say, a lot of people will just step down, but he's also got this privileged committee investigation going on. That will be around his neck until Christmas at least. Now, at the moment, the party isn't governing. It's basically, it's lurching from one scandal to another, and that's not. We want to be at a point in time now where the party can govern, get on with it quietly, and the rest of the country can get on with. At the moment, all we're sending on is, nonsense, controversy, the markets are in turmoil. So, okay, if we go back Boris's way, is that in any way going to lead to a more stable environment for the government? It's not. It's going to be chaos again. And all they'll be focusing on is trying to tear Boris down. So whether you're a Boris fan or not, that's not going to give a stable outlook over the next few months. I mean, I understand this Cinderella story of him coming back to reclaim number 10. But he's the reason why Liz Truss was there in the first place. So that's not going to be stable. Penny Mordaunt, like you say, she's just a Liz Truss number 2. She has no financial background. She's PR. She's PR background. She just wants high office. Why? Largely for herself, I think. She wants to be Prime Minister. There's no experience there. The financial markets, and that's where the instability comes from, don't have any faith in her. They won't. She will be gone by Christmas like Liz Truss, and that will lead to the downfall completely of the Conservative Party. I think the only sensible option is Sunak, because he foresaw the financial crisis. He said on televised interviews, what will happen is, bonds will sell off, the markets will rally, mortgages go. And he said all this, it happened. He's an ex-chancellor. He did quite well during COVID, and all that stuff. Jeremy Hunt backed him for the leadership race last time, who is now chancellor. So if he moved in, the chancellor would say the same. And, Sunak, quite sensible. The only sort of skeletons in his closet is about his family. But, I mean, is that the worst you can do? But I think he is more sensible. I mean, I said, of the three, the more stable route is Sunak, I think.
Of course,
the other two is a nightmare.
But like you go back to the beginning, the more stable route would be not to leave the EU. Like if the Tory party was centred on stability, there's lots of things they've done over the last 10 years that they wouldn't have done. They're unfortunately not just driven by that, are they? They're driven by mental ideology.
Yes, that's it. It's ideology about the Cinderella story of Boris coming back.
Sunak has pissed off so many of them because of what he did to finally get Johnson out, that bridge is not going to be able to be rebuilt. And the idea of Sunak and Hunt running the two major offices, like, I can't imagine that all the other guys in the background are just going to, get behind them and shut up. No,
but they are. I can't. They will not be doing. They are almost accountants. They are still of the lot there with experience. Boris is largely a character. Now, we've had that. It didn't work. The trouble is he's such a character, he doesn't care about the rules too much. And when you're Prime Minister, you can't do that. You will be dragged out. They were literally...
No, but they've got one eye on the next election, haven't they? They know that in Starmer there is somebody who is, like, positioning himself very clearly as stable and boring and all the things that actually we probably need right now. Mm. And so they're probably thinking, to go up against him, we need someone who, on the face of it, has a bit more charisma. Let's ignore the fact that he's also a clueless idiot, but that's probably what they're thinking.
Yeah, but but literally, the tabloids and everything will be tearing into him for weeks on end. Like I said, the focus will not be on governing.
Everything comes back again immediately.
Yeah. Well,
also, like you said, like we are a laughing stock, and I think that's probably worth remembering. Like, we used to be seen around the world as a very stable and normal country, and now we are, just as we look at Italy all the time and think it's hilarious that Berlusconi with his bunga bunga parties keeps on coming back into power, and now we're in the same situation. Our credit rating is tanking. We've got a laughing stock as a government, and we seem to be going straight back to round and round in circles on this.
I know, it's nuts. I was thinking, listen, they've not got a lot of... I remember seeing the original leadership campaign. I thought, God, these lot, dreadful. They've got nothing in the way of inspiration or anything. Just get on with it. Get someone else in. Get Keir in or anything. I'm not a big fan of Keir, but they made him look sort of charismatic. And I thought, but at the moment, what you need is sensible, boring people in there. You don't want charismatic characters like Boris, who literally, there won't be no governing. There'll just be people dragging him down of all the past sort of rules he's broken, and it'll implode by Christmas. Honestly, it will. Liz Truss, I didn't realise this. I thought you had to be in for 2 months to get that pay deal of an ex-Prime Minister. She's going to get 115 grand a year for 44 days' work. And I was looking at that, and that's, if she lasted, if she lives to she's 80, and she'll earn 4 million quid from that job. She was in it for 45 days. That's like 88 grand a day, pretty much, working out for that money. That's nuts.
There's lots of this stuff needs to be tidied up, isn't there?
Yeah, just
we need parliamentary reform on a big scale.
Maybe it should be a sliding scale of how long you serve. Surely that proves how worthy you are sometimes. And then you get a compensation package in line with that. It's nuts. But you think about what she achieved to be fair, she achieved a lot in 44 days. I mean, she crashed the bond market. Most people can't do that in a lifetime. Decimated the mortgage market. And also she's achieved the title of shortest serving Prime Minister. So quite a few achievements there, Pad, in 44 days.
Well, hopefully she's achieved, like, throwing that entire ideology under a bus once and for all. Hopefully it's going to be a long time before people start talking about that rubbish again.
Yeah, but did you know this? They didn't meet at all. They didn't have one meeting before they put up their growth plan. They didn't have one meeting with the Bank of England. And I find that completely bizarre. You've got, monetary and fiscal policies there should be in tune. They went completely against, the monetary policy. And I'm thinking, why? Jeremy Hunter stood up in Parliament this week, or last week. The week seems so long now. But he said he's going to bring on some experts. I thought, bit late for that, isn't it? So hang on, beforehand, who was doing it then? So literally, Truss and Quartain just come up with this little plan together off the back of a book they wrote, and thought, we'll do this regardless.
You guys have been sitting around chatting about this stuff for years, haven't they? In Tufton Street, just going crazy with all their A-level economics. Like, if we do this, this will definitely happen. If we do what we need to do to fix growth is this. Let's do this. And it got shown up very quickly, didn't it? So hopefully it takes a long time before anyone starts throwing around that crazy idea again.
But I'm maybe naively, I assumed when you're at that level of office, you can't just go ahead. They didn't even tell most of the cabinet. So you can't just go ahead with your own crazy policies and thinking this will work out without having any guidance from, financial experts and monetary experts, or even meeting the Bank of England. You just crack. I just thought that would be double-checked and triple-checked. So, no, this won't be good. It's a good idea, but where we are at the moment, it's not going to work. And in fact, Sunak said that. And so I don't understand how you can get this passed without any sort of level of, double-checking, triple-checking from people who know about these things. It's nuts. Don't they have advisors like that? I'm completely nuts. So, anyway,
But we do also need to sort of wean ourselves off this sort of crack cocaine of the idea of this low tax thing. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, and I realise that I'm on the left of the thought process here, but. Like, the countries which have the best public services and tend to have the happiest populations aren't low tax countries. Yeah, but we shouldn't see tax as a bad thing. Like, people should be paying tax.
Yeah, no, exactly. And most people are for that. I mean,
we should tidy up the tax system. Absolutely, we should make it more easy to understand and a bit, like it is absolutely crazy. That
I came up with a spreadsheet for that, Matt. You collect more tax and it'll be more fair as well. And it's very easy to work out, but I thought on bands and stuff, because it's very all over the place. But do you know? I feel Labour at the moment, calling for general election. I thought of an analogy. When your kids in a class, and literally the teacher asked a question, and all the kids have got their hands up, and she goes round several classroom kids, and most of them are getting the wrong answers, and one kid at the back, that star must say we want a general election, knows the answer pretty much, but the teacher's not going to him. He's like, right, yes, let's have a look. What's the answer? Penny. He says, 42. No, it's not. Boris. 45, and there's kid at the back. Miss, I know the answer. And she ignores him, I do think, I don't know, it's odd that we can't have a general election, but I think that's the way forward. It'll reset everything, pretty much. And I know, I'm at the moment, I'm apolitical, I'm agnostic. But I just think, what a load of mess we've got ourselves into. It's phenomenal. And I just think bringing Boris back in this fancy Cinderella story is not going to solve it at all. It's going to make it worse. People just thinking short term, aren't they?
If I was in the Labour Party, I'd be welcoming that. That's almost a dream scenario, isn't it?
It is, yeah, exactly.
He is absolutely corrupt. His popularity amongst normal people is very low. In the Tory Party, obviously, he's seen as an amazing character, but I think outside of Tory Party clubs and Parliament, he's definitely not seen like that. And he has this case going against him, where the evidence appears to be quite strong. So let him come back, crack on.
I know, it's nuts. And it's, but also I thought, when you get, the new Prime Minister will come in now. And when the new Prime Minister comes in, they basically make some phone calls with world leaders, don't they? And they all congratulate them for it must be getting to the state where it's embarrassing to have, Biden he doesn't know who's in office anyway. But going up to Macron and say, excuse me, Mr. Macron, you have to make a call with the new Prime Minister. It's basically like, well, all right, who is it this week? It's like a laughing stock, isn't it?
Just imagine that's exactly... that with Brexit on top, like suddenly we've gone from being really important on the world stage and being listened to being just like, why would you care? Like, I was listening to a podcast about Xi Jinping, the Chinese guy, who once upon a time, British influence around the world and foreign affairs was, pretty... it was up there with America. Like we were one of the countries that lots of other countries listened to, and we were instrumental in lots of peace talks and whatever. And nowadays, like, people don't even pick up the phone. We were so unimportant, and that's really sad. And that is all of our own doing.
It wouldn't matter with Biden. He doesn't know who's in power anyway, does he? You just give him every week. You could give him a phone, and he'd say, "Hey, well done." I've seen some car crash TV with him. It's like, he is worrying, and I wasn't, I thought it was a low punch when Trump kept banging on about dementia issues with Biden, but he obviously has got some cognitive problems, hasn't he? If you look at him, he can't get figures out. He said, I don't know if you saw that video, he said, 2 trillion, billion, trillion, and he has a problem finding the exit for stages. He walks around and he doesn't know where the heck he is. And I think, so that's, you look at him and think, okay, maybe they're in, but other countries must think, how is it so easy to get rid of a leader in the UK? Because, once the president's in, he's in, isn't he? You're not throwing him back out. Maybe that's a good thing, though, that we can throw people out very quickly. Maybe it's not a bad thing, because if you've got the wrong guy in, and he's got to stay there, he's cemented in there for like 4 years, and he's obviously... not competent.
It's also crazy now that 80,000 people in a little online poll, like anyone can be a Tory Party member. There's that was it Tortoise, that website that they set up accounts for a tortoise who's now a Tory Party member and gets a vote. And if you're in any country around the world, you can get a vote. Like, this is open to all kinds of corruption and all kinds of, and they just set up a little website to let people vote. Like, there's no adjudication on that. There's no way of checking whether any of those votes are valid or not. Like, the leader of one of the biggest countries in Europe gets decided by basically like a little online poll.
Do you know what? And it has been said before, but literally, you work in TV, Pad. If you'd actually scripted this, what's going on in the UK, and took it to someone, they just look at it and say, "No, that's never going to get." But it would seem too far-fetched as to what's happening in the UK political scene, and people wouldn't even produce it. It's just so crazy, and even things like. I could imagine a Netflix documentary digging into people, like someone like Grant Shapps now, who's been brought in as Home Secretary, right? His background, it's so murky, And I remember being on the radio and with BAM, and he mentioned about Grant Shapps being a web marketer, selling themselves and selling you these get-rich-quick schemes via the web. And he said he changed his name as well. I thought Bam was off his head saying this. And I looked it up, and it's true. And he doesn't want to mention it, but he called himself back about 10 years now, he called himself Michael Green. And he was selling products such as Stinking Rich 3, where you can make a load of cash on online marketing and all this stuff. And he refuses almost point blank to acknowledge it. But he did recently, a few years back, in an LBC interview. But he doesn't want to talk about it. And you think, this is nuts. You've got a guy here using a different name, marketing himself as a get-rich-quick schemer, and yet you're now running for office. And he's now in office, in the cabinet office.
He's Home Secretary. He's in charge of the police.
It's nuts, isn't it? You imagine that Netflix documentary, you think this is all far-fetched, but it's true. It's like nuts.
This is what happens in those weird countries around the world which we all used to look at. And now it just happens and no one doesn't even get a column inch. Anyway.
Yeah, let's talk about stocks and shares.
Stocks and shares,
stocks and... Well, listen, the thing I do about this, I'm just thinking, the reason why I did do a long thread on Twitter last night about that, because I thought this affects the markets. It really does affect the markets. They don't see that. And we want to be at a position in UK history where, sooner or later, hopefully, every political decision isn't focused on and doesn't affect the markets, because a smooth, seamless government should be running nicely in the background. We haven't done that for years. It hasn't happened for years. And all it is, every day, the main story is politics for the wrong reasons. And we need to get back to, a smooth, functioning government. But it isn't. And I'm just thinking, the way this is carrying on with Boris and Cinderella, it won't be smooth at all. We need quietly running in the background. It's like like a well-tuned engine. You sit in a car, you hardly hear the engine. It does all the stuff you want it to do. But, that's not the point. You can take your mind off the engine and listen to the music on the radio, whatever, So, anyway, I think, right, we're close to a bottom in the markets. I've said this a few times, but I don't know if you... do you have a look at your stocks and shares a lot, Bad?
I looked this week. I had the same feeling. It felt like we were close to the bottom is what I was thinking.
Because they're not... I mean, obviously, you will get crap companies coming out... Not crap companies. Some companies, to be fair, will come out with... updates, and they are getting affected by the economy, and there is a slowdown. And in fact, you see the consumer, figures dropping off this week, suggesting people are tightening their belts now. It's coming in. In fact, I spoke to my father, who owns car sales. He said, listen, it is quiet. It's very quiet out there. People are starting to worry. And when you get that, when you get constantly bombarded in the media with these images of people tightening their belts and all that stuff, you do it yourself. Behaviourally, we all do it. And even now, like we sort of talk about the heating, electricity, for a long time, we were concerned about heating bills, and so most people had their houses on hot rather than
What are you doing? What's your daily output? What's your cost?
I don't have a smart meter, see, but I mean, I know. In fact, Megan sent me a thing on WhatsApp yesterday, and literally we are like 50% down. I mean, it is quite mild, isn't it, this time of year at the moment? But you are using less gas compared to the period last year. So we're using 778 kilowatt hours, 5th of August to the 18th of October. That was 1,252. So literally 50% drop in the gas we use.
It's amazing what difference you can make just by concentrating on it a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, and electricity is the same, pretty much 50% drop. So, our bill has dropped by, of course, it's gone up a bit, to compensate for that. But it is happening. And I think more than ever now, and a while back I said, go try and focus on companies, and there's room in the portfolio for, discretionary stocks, yes, if they're strong businesses. But you've got to try and focus on companies that get kind of with strong earnings based on, and not affected by discretionary spend, maybe even benefit from higher rates of interest. And, a couple of companies we've got in there. But I mean, the best performer, I think, in my portfolio the last few weeks has been XP Factory. And I think because it was majorly oversold. At one point, it was down at I think it was enterprise value was something like 11 million. And you think, this is nuts. And I did tweet out, I said, if you look at it, I mean, where they were, 2021, they had 8 escape hunt sites. That's all they had. End of this year, they'll have 23 of those, 25 franchises around the world, and they'll have 27 boom battle bars. And if you look at Instagram, they're busy. They're all kind of busy, I mean, and so I suppose when you have something like that, an offering, and you are a leader in a sort of new theme like experiential leisure, where rather than just go and sit in a pub, you can, have a drink and play games with your friends. It's more fun, isn't it? So they are a point of difference. Why do people go to, sit in a pub and pay £7 for a pint of lager and just chat nonsense politics when you can do that online and go home and have a couple of lagers from Tesco's or whatever. But so I suppose you need a point of difference for people to go out and do stuff. And if it is escape rooms,
Axes is that point of difference.
Yeah, all that stuff. Axes, yeah, definitely.
Where are we going?
Well, I'm hopefully Richard. I've asked Richard for some tickets for the VIP night. I don't know if it's going to happen, but because I saw the Birmingham one, and it's very popular there. He said they had some influencers there at the Birmingham opening recently. They opened 3 this week, Boom Battle Bars. That's amazing.
Really?
3 this week, yeah.
Where?
I think it was like Birmingham, Bournemouth, all the Bs, and Blackwood.
Blackwood?
No, not one in Blackwood, my hometown. No.
Don't want Axes in Blackwood.
No,
that would go horribly wrong.
Yeah. So, but they are opening at a phenomenal rate. They are the fastest growing leisure company, and definitely the fastest growing experiential leisure. I mean, there are companies that have dipped their toe into it, but they focus completely, and I think that's the point of difference from most other companies. You know, it's like go out there, a bit of a change, a bit of difference. Try it, and all you need is people try it once or twice, and you are going crazy on the revenue, and they are. But they've got up 78% in the last 2 weeks now, and largely I think that was down to someone selling in there. Must have been a big seller, and I think we know who it is, but he's not reporting his sells or buys. But I don't know. Once the sell dried up, it went crazy and it's gone up. But I mean, right now, the fair value, and it only. I think if you look at the big owned ones. So the O2, Lakeside, Cardiff, Edinburgh and Oxford Street. Those alone will do close to like 25 million, 30 million in revenue just on those in a year. And so, it's a compelling sort of story there. I think it'll do very well. And then, it'll keep getting better as time goes on.
Are they going to start doing those abroad as well?
I think so. I think it'd go down well in America, Boom Battle Bars, wouldn't it? Really would. Axe-throwing man, yeah! They'd love that. But I remember Richard saying that when we open a site, we overstaff it because people are learning. I said, now that we're at the level where we can bring experienced staff into new venues to help people out, and you realise people get very efficient very quickly. And then you can de-staff it a bit. And so you imagine, at the moment, they are putting more staff into new venues to help. Because as you go along, people just become more efficient. They know how to work it. Like anyone, if you're in a job for a while, you get better and faster. And so the longer we go on, the more efficient these sites become, because the staff become more competent, faster, better.
That's a sign of a pretty smart run company, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's then that also suggests that they're thinking. We know they're thinking about lots of sites in the future, but like having that knowledge within your company, being able to then farm people out to different new sites.
Yeah.
That's,
so you said at the start it was hard because, of course, it was new for everyone. But now we're into it. We're now experienced. We've opened up probably 25 sites now, so we know how the things work, and so. We're hitting the ground running on each of the new sites, and they're hitting maturity levels very quickly, a lot faster than the original ones. So yeah, that's good, and I like that. I said, I think the potential to roll out that, and of course they've got a big operation going on here, and first and foremost the focus is the UK. But beyond that, of course, there's opportunities around. If you look at the franchisees for Escape Hunt, they are around the world, so they can just start doing Boom Battle Bars around the world. So that's very good. Any news? I'm still waiting for news on Truefin's annoying. They announced this week they signed a deal with Sage, and I just think that there's no better deal than this. Sage and Lloyd's for a little software company. To me, that validates everything, doesn't it? If you imagine Pat setting up a business and you're signing with 2 biggest names in that industry, pretty much. That's the golden handshake. That's what every business owner requires.
Love a golden handshake.
Yeah, and me. Bit cold sometimes, though. In cold weather, a bit hard. But I just think, and yet they had a Capital Markets Day, where they brought up all the CEOs, and it doesn't take a lot to take the share price down a bit, but the share price came off a bit. And I think, hang on, if you looked at this company, this is in America, right? In America, this would be gangbusters. This is if this was on the Nasdaq, this is the kind of this is the golden egg. This is the company where they develop, and it's the best in class. And you get the big FTSE 100 companies signing up with it. Why you got to question yourself? Why FTSE 100 companies would sign up with a company that's its target was valued when Lloyd's actually invested now in this and now they valued it pre-money, this is before they put the money in, at 20 million. Now, why would some of the biggest companies in this country sign up with a small company like this? Because they've got something that they can't. In fact, I know full well Lloyd's tried to do what Stargo did. It proved so complex and it was quite unwieldy, the product they had, that they brought Stargo in and said, Stargo is way better than our product. And so they just basically mothballed their project, and now they've invested in Stargo. That says a lot, doesn't it? And if you look at the Stargo by the CEO there, it is phenomenal. What's her name? Sinead McHale. Sinead is the CEO of Stargo. She was saying that if you want to replicate what Stargo has, you need permissions and 16 third parties involved to get it running seamlessly. Stargo does it all on its own. It's amazing. And I'm just thinking people are being a bit short term of this. And this is America. This would be gangbusters. It'd be one of those stocks that would be, several billion just based on hype. That's the way America's run. But over here, it's barely valued. It's nuts. They're going to do 100 million of revenue in this in the next by 2030. And margins are massive. So I don't know.
So what is holding it back?
It's just the bear market and UK. Generally, the UK is.
But is this affected by what's going on at the moment?
No, because Stargo, right? Stargo is helped by this. Economies going through difficult times. It helps Stargo because you get a lot of invoice finance because companies are slow on paying. Of course, when you have, and it knocks the entire chain. If you've got one slow payer in your chain, then other people tend to, they haven't paid us yet, so we'll hold on to our cash until we get that. So a lot of people go to, invoice financing. They've got the invoice there, it's all done. So rather than just, wait for the cash and try and struggle by, just take on invoice financing. It's fine. You can do that. And so they will do very well in this downturn. Just the market, isn't it? It's the psychology of the market. It's like people are so bearish at the moment. Unbelievably bearish. People prefer to be in cash rather than hold some stocks. And I can understand that. And any excuse, like I said, if you are a company that puts out any kind of results and they don't exceed expectations, there's a chance they can get sold into because people will literally, if you get a company that rises and people are worried, they just, I've got a bit of liquidity in that, I'll sell that and just get to the cash and wait. People think we are in this recession now for like another, because we've been in it for over, I'll give you the exact day that we've been in it with AIM, and it's literally, it's beyond, we are now within the range of general market, indices. Yeah, so AIM has been 411 days now. AIM has been from the high. That's a long period. And if you look at, I don't know if you saw this chart, it's all down, the market's right, it's all down to interest rates. That's what it's down to. That's why you've got the Fed saying we're going to keep going stronger and all this stuff. But if you look at the rate rises, people are saying we're going to get to 5% maybe on interest rates. And if you look at the UK,
they reckon that's come down a bit now, don't they?
Yeah. But the trouble is, you've got the base rate will be that, or the 4.75, maybe 5. But the base rate is that, and then you've got obviously on top of that, you'll get mortgages which are like 1.5-2% above that. So even like mortgages now, and mortgages in America, like 30-year mortgages, at 7%. So it's going to affect the economy. Of course it will. But I've said on Twitter, I think if you look at the way it works, the rate hike cycles, there's meetings by the Fed and the UK in November, December, February, March, May. That's the opportunities to raise rates. There's not one in January, and there's not one in March. There's not one in April either. So if they go aggressive, the UK, and I think they will go aggressive, they have to now, Bank of England, because bonds have led the market here. If they go aggressive and do 1% increase in November, 1% in December, they only need to rise by another 3/4 of a percentage point to get to 5% by February. Now the markets will know that, and I think they will go aggressive for the next one. But we're talking about a window here of peak rates. The time rates will hit their peak between pretty much December and February, March. So we're not far off peak rates, and that means the markets will see that. Uncertainty removed. They said the worst thing for markets is don't know what if you've got an unquantified monster there, you don't know how to fight it. But if you can see the monster, you've seen him fighting, you can get in there.
I guess the energy price thing comes off in April as well, doesn't it? So that's there's potentially another risk there.
Have you seen natural gas prices though? It's like literally
they come down, haven't they?
They've crashed. So we got the chart now. So it said yesterday they are now down 48% from their high. So I don't know what's going on there, but literally the high was. Let me get the chart here. The high was MMBTU, mega, was a percent per unit, I don't know what that is. But that was 9.6, the high was on the 22nd of August. Now it's at 4.9. So, yeah, okay, yeah, so from 9.6 to 4.9, the gas prices, natural gas futures. So it's crashed below a support level that it held in July, which is what, 5.5. It's now under 5. So I don't understand how long that will translate, but that's crashed. Oil prices have come down from 125 or bucks to 94. Probably needs to go a bit further down. But yeah, commodity prices are coming down. So I think we are seeing the back of inflation being broken. So it's only a matter of time. I mean, inflation's coming down. I mean, there are obviously lagging factors there. But you put that together with, I mean, listen, this is part of the reason why things are slowing down, of course. China's still in lockdown, pretty much. What is China doing? They're nuts, aren't they?
In what way?
Well, they're super paranoid about COVID. They
it does seem crazy, isn't it?
They think you're not going to get zero COVID. It's like saying, well, let's try and get, knowing the country should have a sniffle or a cough or cold. It's not going to happen. But luckily, that's another country that's so opaque. It's like they didn't come out with their growth figures recently. Why? Because they're not good. So they didn't bother bringing them out. And people
probably growth figures that we die for over here.
Yeah, they are. There's still about, I think but they're aiming for about, I think, 6%, but people are saying it's half that. Because, of course, they've been locking down cities and beating up people who actually try and get some food. So
this semiconductor thing could be interesting, though, couldn't it?
Yeah. So what? Biden's got. I think Biden's a bit mad. Do you? He is now a trade war with China.
Well, so was Trump for months as well. So
yeah, but Trump is a bit psychotic. He would change, wouldn't he? He could change overnight. He could literally be, super poisonous towards a country, and then all of a sudden he'd be their best friend for a second.
Well, he thought he was playing hardball trade, didn't he? He thought he was just like business, but he forgot about geopolitics and other people being interested as well.
Yeah. So. I think...
I do sort of understand what Biden's coming from here, but what he's done is basically drawn a big line in the sand and said, right, on this side is everyone who's with us, on the other side is China, and there's no way of ever working together, which seems, I don't know, doesn't seem like that's going to end particularly well.
Yeah. Well, exactly. But the thing is, you've got to. I mean, like I said, China is becoming bigger and bigger and more influential, and it is worrying if you watch them sort of well-researched documentaries and there was one on the BBC I watched a while back. They are scary. It is scary what they're doing, what we don't know about over there. They do want world domination. That's it, and they've got the manpower to back it up. So and they don't care if they cut a few corners either. In fact, they just chop the corners right off. They don't care. So it's a bit worrying. But anyway, but no, I think so. So basically, the markets, I think we are now, well within the time. I mean, 12 months now, the S&P 500 has been, come January, in a bear market from its high. So I think we are 3 to 6 months away from, and when I say that, I mean, the markets may have to go sideways and bottom for a while. If you go back to the Great Financial Crash, AIM bottomed and it went nowhere for 3 months. It just went up and down in the range. So it didn't really go down any further. So we may have to see that, where other indices catch up. But AIM is literally, if you look at the AIM All-Share Index, it hit a low of, I think, 785 it was, 780 I think it was. No, 777, let me go back. And now it's just a bit above that. The low was 775 and now it's 785. But it doesn't seem to want to retest that low. So I think we could bumble along the bottom here. Some stocks will take off. You find some liquidity. But as long as you get some stability that's not going down any further, that's good for the markets. That's what we need, Pat. I think the watchword here is stability. That's what we want.
Well, politically, you just got to stop voting for the Tories then, mate.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't think... Well, the thing is, the only reason... No, I'm not hell-bent. That's the trouble. part of the thing is like the label, Tories, Labour. I will vote for anyone who seems sensible enough to come up with decent policy that's fair, but also, gives the opportunity to the country to grow and prosper in some way. Innovative, but fair as well.
But when was the last time that was delivered under a Tory government? Like, you'd have to go. I mean, I completely despise the woman, but you'd have to sort of go back to Thatcher, wouldn't you, to find a time when that was the case?
Yeah, but also
why do we hold them up as the custodians of stability? They're an absolute mess.
Yeah, no, I have no idea. But I mean, last time the alternative of what's his name, Corbyn, did not inspire me at all. I thought it didn't attract. There was nothing about him. No,
completely. But the idea that his chaos would have been any worse than this chaos, like it would have been a mess, I'm sure. But I think at its heart, it would have been about trying to make people's lives better. Whereas this, from the very beginning, has never been about that. It's been about trying to win a debating society contest from the 70s, and that's it. That's all they're trying to do. They're just trying to outdo each other with ideology.
Yeah, that's it. When it comes down to this, it's the Tories what we stand for, as a Labour what we stand for. Stop thinking like that. Stop thinking in this
make
polarised.
Some people's lives better.
Yeah, that's it. Let's start with the base case scenario of how can we make this country a better place for everyone. On a fair level footing, give businesses the chances they need to grow, to employ other people. And that's how you start essentially. Businesses, fair practices in business, pay good wages, but give them a chance to thrive and not only survive but thrive, and that will lift the entire economy for everyone. Not how can we give a certain, select few some benefits and not others. It's not all about that. It's lift the country in its entirety, from people, on low-skilled workers on low wages or part-time people who haven't got the time. Also give them a chance to get out of that situation in some way. We need to be a land of realistic hope. Offer innovation and education and all that.
Completely. So if you're a billionaire, you need people like that to be spending money. And this world they're creating for themselves, where the billionaires are ring-fenced to get richer and richer, is going to dry up very quickly and become not a very nice place to live. Yeah. All the reasons that the UK is a lovely place to be suddenly start to disintegrate quite quickly if nobody's got any money apart from the billionaires. Yeah.
Well, do you know what's funny? I was on Radio 5 Live yesterday morning, and Rachel Burden was at some kind of factory, I think. In Manchester. Yeah, and it's funny, she asked about 3 people from the shop floor there, and they weren't, heavily researched into politics, but 3 of them all said, so what's the future of the kids? And 3 of them said, well, I'm going to move to Spain. Yeah. That's not good, is it? When you think, your ultimate goal is leaving the country. That's what you want to do. This
is again the sort of thing that people in these countries, which we've all looked at in the past, like the children of Portugal came to the UK because they couldn't find work and jobs there, and there were no prospects. And actually now Portugal looks like a really great place to be. Yeah. That's what we've descended to, sadly.
I know. Anyway, listen, there are great innovators and businesses in this country. And we've done some amazing things throughout the history. At the moment, we're mired in a mess. We need to get back to we are a country. There's an opportunity for people to be entrepreneurs, to grow businesses, to give people a chance to thrive. That's what we need to be. And I don't know. At the moment, it's depressing. Politics is on the front page every single day for the wrong reasons.
I've had enough. I've stopped listening to the podcast and watching the news now. I can't handle it. Send me an email next week. Tell me what happens.
Yeah. Okay, Ben. Thanks, Pat and Pete. And I'm not here next week, but the week after, I think if the boys don't turn up, there's plenty of Share Pickers Investment Club members who love stocks and shares.
Get them on.
And we'll talk about it. By the way, I'm still waiting for results.
I'm sure it's the funny ones.
Yeah. Well, I only know people generally on text form. It's like Twitter, isn't it? You sometimes I often get to people on Twitter, and they come back with some really odd thoughts, and I think I look at their timeline and think, I thought you were relatively normal. But they look at them banging on about conspiracy theories. You think, no. Okay. But yeah, I don't. Well, maybe it'd be fun to just get people on anyway, and that's the way you filter them out. Pete's just said sorry. Had some vin rouge last night. Have I missed much? Yeah, you've missed a lot, Pete. I'm not sending you your paycheck this week. Which, I haven't sent any week already, but there we are.
There are paychecks.
No, there aren't. All right. Have a nice weekend, Pad. Are you up to anything special?
Just tiling the floor.
Oh, tiling the floor. Yeah. Have you seen anything good on TV? Have you watched this England? That's worth watching, honestly. The political farce. It's funny. It's revisiting what we've been living through. But
I don't want to watch that then.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
I watched. What did I watch? I can't remember the name of it. So no.
Can I just say to the BBC, when I go to the BBC iPlayer, I don't care about drag queens. I don't know. Surely in this day and age of smart TV, where they look at you watching, stop putting drag queens on my suggested list. I don't care about fat, ugly blokes in dresses. I don't see how anyone is attracted to drag queens at all. What is the attraction there? I definitely not. Stop putting on... Every time I put on BBC iPlayer, it comes up, you'd probably like this. I do not like fat blokes in dresses. What made you suggest that? And it's so annoying. Part of me was defund them. I'm not going to pay my licence fee based on the fact you keep suggesting drag queen shows to me. There's nothing further removed that I'd watch than that.
Somebody in your house is very keen on drag queens.
Well, they haven't outwardly suggested that, so I'm going to do an investigation this week.
Somebody's clicking on that content, so let's keep on coming back up.
Well, I hope not. I got a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. They're not into that nonsense. It's definitely not naked.
One of them is into it.
Bloody drag queens. That's going to come off my licence fee, that nonsense. Anyway, so I wouldn't recommend drag queens, because literally they throw it at you anyway. Marvellous. Speak to you next week. No, speak the week after next week, because I'm away.
Okay. Right. Have fun.
Bye-bye.
The Share Pickers Weekend Podcast with Justin, Paddy, Peter and Steve. The content of this podcast is not intended as investment advice. It is for information purposes only. People in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy anything based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.